on Black Friday because I appreciate a good sale. All right, I think we are live over there. I like that one, Sarah. That's perfect size. That's huge. And I wanted to make sure that that's also good. I like seeing your guys' calendars. Way to go. Um, you are going to see me getting up and down a bunch because I'm doing this alongside you. This is my process that I do every single year. And it's proven to help keep me focused, which is really nice because it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get distracted by shiny object syndrome or to sit down at your desk and say, I have 10,000 things to do and I don't even know what I want to do right now. So that's what this kind of helps to rein in so you can get so much done in such a short amount of time and really stay focused towards those end of year goals. So before I get to that calendar, I've only started to fill it in. I'm going to be, oh, no problem, Shelly, at all. No problem. Sam's granddaughter. I appreciate that a lot. um, yeah, so before we get started and start putting our sticky notes up there, I wanted to kind of kick things off with a few things. So first of all, as you know, this is our Systematize Your Year workshop. Even though it's called Systematize Your Year, you don't have to be doing 12 months. I'm today only going to be starting with 3 months. You can do 6 months. You could do 1 month if you wanted. The whole goal of this is just to kind of wrap your head around what you want things to look like as you're working ahead. So this is a really good workshop if you have a lot going on. So as you guys know, I have two different businesses. I've got cruising and campfires. I've got fighters. I've got roadpreneur. And so being able to juggle everything. Plus I have my kiddos. It's just, and obviously travel. It's just nice to have that consistent like system for how you're going to show up throughout the year. If you're working a side hustle, this is also really good because it will let you continuously show up. And I'll show you a little bit more about that as we get to the sticky note portion. But for now, just make a mental note for yourself of what you want to do today. You can always come back and add in later. I think 3 months is a good place to start because it'll let you kind of get into the rhythm of everything. Also, 12 months is just a lot to plan within 1 hour. So we don't want you to get overwhelmed with that either. So we'll just, it's up to you. You decide what you want to do today. Obviously, you also have the recording of this, and so you can always come back to it if you want to. But before we get into the sticky notes, like I said, we're going to start with some goal setting. So maybe we take about 1 minute, do some rapid journaling on 3 different questions, and feel free to journal in the chat, journal pen to paper, however you want to do this. But it's going to be really loose. It's not going to be, there's not an assignment or anything like that. This is really just to kind of get you thinking about what you want next year to look like. We have a ton of ideas, but it's nice to just really solidify a few of those, especially going into an exercise like this. So first question, I do have my phone next to me. I told you my setup is really crazy. I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute. And let's first just journal on what do you want personally out of 2023? This is a very big question. 1 minute is not a lot of time to really dig into what you want personally going into 2023. And I do that on purpose because the more we start to overthink it, the more overwhelmed we get. So just start to imagine 2023 and what you want personally out of the year. Do you want more time with your kids? Do you want to have, do you want to eat better? Do you want to run that race finally? Do you want to organize your house finally? What is it specifically that you want personally out of 2023? I'm going to stop talking so you guys can journal. Ready, go. All right, that was a fast minute. They always are, aren't they? Okay, whoops, there we go. All right, second question. And feel free if you want to just drop it in the chat what came up for you, feel free to do that. We're going to just move into that second question though, because I feel like the lines are so blurred between the first section and the first question and the second question that I just kind of want to move right into it. But what the next question is, what do you want professionally out of 2023? Maybe it's finally quit that job. Maybe it's have your first six-figure year. Maybe it's finally launch that thing. Maybe it's finally just make your first $1,000. What is it that you want out of professionally out of 2023? Okay, another fast minute went by. And the last question that we're going to journal on for 1 minute, and this one's going to be harder and easier at the same time, is we're going to think through what's that one word or one phrase. I know this is a common exercise. Sometimes I cringe a little bit thinking about it, and yet it's also really helpful just to kind of have that North Star metric or word or phrase. It's going to guide you through the year. So as you start to get distracted by all of the things going on, all the marketing messages coming your way, and I've been hearing that 2023 is being described as kind of a snowball where everything's just going to get shaken up and you're just going to see all these ideas and all these things floating around. How do you tame that? So having that one word going into the year is going to kind of help just stay focused when you have this flurry of ideas all around you. So think through what you might want that one word, one phrase to be. If you don't come up with it in this minute, don't worry about it. But just start thinking about it now just to kind of focus where we're going with this exercise. Okay, there we go. That's it for our rapid journaling. Don't worry, I won't make you go quiet and introspective too much longer. We are going to get to the doing, but I like to start things off with that because it's a really great way to focus our mind and focus where we're going with this next year as we get into planning mode and as we start to really lean into what we want it to look like and feel like as we move into the new year. And I often find for myself that I have all these ideas. I mean, every year I set these New Year's resolutions and I set these goals. And there's a reason why January 19th is deemed the National Drop Your New Year's Resolution Day or something like that. Because a lot of people have these ideas, have these big plans, and say, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to take over the world. And then, they realize that life is still happening and things are still progressing as they want, as we have been doing for like the last year. So as we go in and do this kind of an exercise, it's helpful to have that idea in the back of your mind. So as we can work backwards, we can really structure what that year looks like. We can design our life personally and professionally. That's the Roadpreneur way, around that one core concept. So if you feel like it, drop your word or your phrase that you've come up with in the chat. This is not committing you to it throughout the year. It's just letting it be that idea. Sometimes it's helpful to see other people's, oh, Sarah, I like that impactful activity. I like that. It's really making a difference. Mine that I came up with, and it's probably going to change, but just off the cuff, is more service. And that's because I have going into 2023, 2022, I wanted to launch this school and I did. And I wanted to build the community and I did. And so now I want to add in another layer to my business. And it's going to be these more bite-sized elements. And so I feel in doing so, I'm able to show up and I guess kind of like you were saying, Sarah, impactful and like make that difference through kind of an act of service. I feel like business is an act of service and I like to treat it like that. So that was mine. Kat, you said achievement, results oriented. Yes, I love that. Very good. Okay. Now go and grab your sticky notes. I'm curious how many different colors each of you guys have. Because as I was designing this, I'm like, I like a lot of color, but we can make it work with even just one color. So don't stress about that if you only have one color. Perfect. 4 colors there. I see, Sarah, you've got, what is it? Blue, green, orange, and purple, or pink. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. There you go. You got your 4-pack also. I like it. Good. Okay. We're going to start first off with a sticky note that you might want to put on the side of your computer. I have this on the side of my computer and I like looking at it every single day because this is, again, keeps me focused on that end goal of where I want to go. So we're going to take 4 different green sticky notes or anything that makes you feel like money. I like green because it feels like money because it's the color of money. But anything that might kind of makes you, sometimes people like purple because that makes you feel like the riches. I don't know. Whatever color responds to whatever you want. I'm going to be giving you color ideas. Make this your own throughout the entire workshop. But we're going to take 4 sticky notes first. So just start with your pad of sticky notes. And there's my pen. The first thing we're going to write on there is you're going to write how many sales you need to make to pay for Roadpreneur School. So this is going to vary. And I know a lot of you are like, hold on, I've got a lot of different products, or I've got a lot of different things, or maybe I haven't launched yet. If you're here, you at least have an idea of what you want to launch, or you have an idea of approximately how much you're going to charge for whatever it is you are going to launch first. If you don't, that's okay. But let's at least make a blank sticky note for that saying, I put PRS, like paid for Roadpreneur School. Well, I didn't put it because I obviously didn't pay for the school. But if I do have a program, then that's what I would put on there that you're paying for. So put PRS and then put how much you will need to sell total to pay for this. And that's going to be your top sticky note on the side of your computer. So let me know if there's any questions coming up for that. For example, let's say, I'm just going to keep talking as you guys write that down. If you paid $9.97 for the school, which was the price right before it increased, then, and you have a product that is $100, well, then you're gonna have to sell 10 of those to pay for Roadpreneur School. So hopefully that's pretty clear. Excellent. Okay. Then we're gonna go into one of my favorite ways to financially goal set, and that is the good, better, dream. It's a lot of people call it good, better, best, but because we're going to be writing acronyms, I've changed it to dreams. It's not 2 B's at the end. But the good, better, dream method of coming up with how much you want to make in your business will let you incrementally celebrate as you reach those goals. So for the good goal, this is what you're going to want to pay yourself every month plus your expenses. And here's how I calculate a healthy business. A healthy business is when you can pay yourself 50% of what you make. So if you're making $1,000 a month, hopefully you're making, let's say $10,000 a month. If you're making $10,000 a month, then you're going to be paying yourself $5,000 a month. Then the other $5,000, 30% approximately is going to be for taxes. 20% is going to be for reserves. So paying for expenses for software or being able to reinvest, or if you need to buy a new computer, that kind of a thing. So what is that number? What's what you want to pay yourself right now? And then just double that, and then know that 30% is going to go to taxes, 20% is going to go to reserves. And then what is that number going to be for you each and every month? Write that on a second green sticky note. And that's your good goal. And spoiler alert, we're going to keep going up in that, in that price or in that amount. And if you feel like typing in the chat what that good goal is, then you can absolutely do that. If you don't, money is a very personal thing. You don't have to.
Total number or total number of sales to make that number?
Total number of sales to make that number. And the reason why I like, so for example, if we'll say the $10,000 a month is your good goal, we can say, well, let's start with, yeah, we'll say $10,000 because tens are easier math for my head. I'm a word nerd, not a number person. So $10,000. So then you know, okay, I need to make $10,000 a month. So then I need to sell X amount. So if I have a product that's $1,000, I need 10 sales a month to be making that. Then we're going to go up to the better financial goal. So the better financial goal is just going to be increment. It's going to be a goal that feels like I could do that, but it also feels like a stretch. But it feels really good if I hit that goal. So for example, if you're at 10,000, you might want to go up to $15,000 a month. What would that look like? So again, how many sales did you need to make to meet that better goal? And this is usually that push goal or something where you know you're going, it feels like it's achievable, but it also feels like it's going to take some work to get there. And that's okay. We don't mind rolling up our sleeves. So yeah, this is where we're going to post these right on the side of our screen, because that way we're seeing them every single day. We're reminded this is where I'm going. As soon as you, by the way, as soon as you pay for Roadpreneur School with your sales, you take that sticky note off and you can throw it away, because now you're moving to that good goal. Okay, now I need to be making, and sometimes they'll be the same, sometimes they'll be similar, and that's okay too. But it just keeps you moving to the good, the better, and then the dream goal. So how many of you have your good goal and you have your better goal written and posted on the side of your screen? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so then the dream goal is what would feel life-changing. Now don't take this and say, I want to go from $15,000 a month to $1 million a month. And I'm going to do that overnight, because that would be a dream, obviously, but it also feels like a little bit overwhelming of a jump. And so we don't want to do that either. Maybe go up to $20,000 a month if we're going incrementally up that way. And it should feel, again, like it's within reach, but also like, man, if I got there, maybe for example, Kat, then I really feel like, oh my goodness, this year I've met my word of achievement. And I think achievement comes from your good goal too, but just really feeling this like strong, like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, this is amazing for me. So that will be a little bit of more of a reach for you, but doesn't mean we can't put it on our computer. So as you're doing that, these are our 4 goals that we are going to keep in mind as we're working backwards towards where we want to go. And you're going to keep them on the board. I want you inside the school group. I call it the group now because community is confusing with the membership. Which, by the way, side note, we are going to be shifting over to Slack, away from Facebook over to Slack, because it's a lot more organized. So stay tuned for that this week. I think Wednesday, I'm going to have us over there, maybe even tomorrow, when I can just share my screen and help you guys get set up there on our live Q&A. But when you go over, or when you are able to pull one of those sticky notes down, go and celebrate that in the group. In the Slack channel, we're going to have a wins channel. So you can go and say, I feel like I'm finally on a rhythm with getting my good goal every single month. So now I'm on to my better goal, or I got to my better goal and it feels so amazing. Now I'm on to my dream goal. That's what we want to continuously celebrate. And those are those incremental wins that are really helpful to have. So often we're like, man, if I could just make $20,000 a month, that would be life-changing. And we get to the $10,000 a month and it's, Sarah, that's like a celebrity. That's awesome. He's a founder's your friend. Tell him I love your product. But we want to be able to celebrate incrementally, because it takes a lot of work to meet those different milestones. So we want to definitely be able to celebrate with you. Come and share with us whenever you get there. You don't have to say what the number is if you don't feel comfortable with that, but just let us know. I just peeled off another sticky note from my computer and I'm celebrating today, because it feels really good to have those celebrations. Okay, Now that we have set our good, better, and dream goals, we are going to move into a lot of sticky note placement on our calendars. So pull them out. Like I said, I'm going to do the first 3 months alongside you this morning on our call. I am going to go back and I'll backfill my whole calendar with everything else as I kind of take some more time to process how I want everything to play out. But how you do that is up to you. So if you want to do the whole year, totally up to you. We are going to start though with the Roadpreneur way. And we're going to first take any color sticky note that you want. It does not matter. I chose pink because it's bright. And we are going to map out any of the days that we want to have off. So what I have up here, as you can see, January 16th, my kids do not have school. So I know that that's a day that I'm not going to be scheduling a bunch of meetings. That way I don't have to stress myself out to find childcare. That's just my day where I know that it's off. That does not mean that I'm not working that day necessarily. It just means that I know that this is a day that we're off. There's other days in there that we're going to be taking some trips. And as I plan those out, then I'm also going to put those up there. You're going to know it's going to all be pink, but you're still going to know that these are days that you're not going to commit to doing a bunch of work, or you're going to commit to not working at all, which can feel really good. So the first thing you're doing is you're taking your calendar and mapping out those days. I right now I have got, their spring break is up there. That's one of them. We take rodeo vacation. That's the weird 23rd and 24th in February. Isn't that strange? I don't know who else does that. I think Tucson's the only one that does that. The other thing that you can do with the pink sticky notes is, especially if you're a full-timer, make sure that you're marking your travel days. So for example, I'm friends with the podcast channel RV Miles. I don't know if you know Abby and Jason, but they like to travel basically every single Sunday. Those are their travel days. They've gotten into that rhythm. So for them, they would mark Sundays. I know Jennifer is a full-timer and she's traveling today. And so maybe I don't know that this is the case for her, but maybe every Monday is her travel day. In that case, every Monday would have a pink sticky note on it, because that's how you know I'm not going to be as focused as I want to be. I'm going to leave that kind of open mentally for creativity. Now, as you're going to see as we move forward, you absolutely can start layering your sticky notes, and that's okay too. I'm kind of just talking through this as you guys are mapping it out. So if you have any questions, you just let me know. The other thing you are going to want to put in your pink sticky notes, or whatever color you choose, are, oh dear, Julie says she can't get audio. I'm going to tell her to try listening on Facebook. Yes, so one sticky note per day of your trip or your travel. Okay, just sent that over to her really fast. So yeah, one day per sticky note. So as you can see on mine, by the way, I shifted my my microphone because I'm going to be getting up and down, so it's a different sound. Hopefully it still stays okay. So let me know if you cannot hear me okay. But Kat, so as you can see, right up here, I have one sticky note for every single day for 2 weeks. So that's their spring break. And that's why I put one sticky note on every single day. I will say, as you can probably see in May, I have just one sticky note there. That's the start of their spring or their summer vacation. I'm going to fill all that in with one sticky note a day, because ideally I'm going to take basically the whole summer off if I can. That's not to say that I'm not going to be working the whole summer. This is just to say that if I know that I'll need to find childcare if I have any meetings. And as we start to fill this in more, you're going to see how that plays out. And then the last one that you're going to want to put in pink sticky notes is any conferences that you want to go to, any retreats, anything like that. Or even if you just want to take like one day a month to yourself and just say, this is a day where I'm going to just do what I want to do. This is my day, and you can put it on the calendar. The reason we do that is because if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. And the last color sticky note that we get to, you're really going to see why that's important. This is especially if you have like a side hustle or anything like that. Okay, question. Suggestions at all when your schedule is completely variable, like week to week? Yep. This is when you only plan a month or two at a time. You don't have to feel like you need to plan the whole thing, the whole year at a time. But as you plan your travel days, as you plan your, because Amanda, you're full time. So as you plan your travel days, as you plan, life in general, or you want to plan to actually enjoy camping and enjoy being on the road and seeing things, then you can start to really map that out. Maybe you decide every Thursday, Friday, I'm taking for my family, and then we're going to road school Monday through Wednesday. And so all your sticky notes would be on Thursdays and Fridays. And then if you travel on a Monday, then you also put a sticky note up there. Don't be afraid to fill that in with pink. This is not meaning you're not going to be working at all on those days. It just means taking a step back on those days or limiting how you're going to show up. The other thing, the final thing before I move into the other color sticky notes, the reason why we use sticky notes, and I'm not having you highlight and colored markers or anything like that, is because, Amanda, to your question, life changes. And oh my goodness, I know Beth, you're listening on Facebook. Beth and I have talked a few times and she's like, my kids are sick again. And I've had that this year. We've had so much sickness go through our household with our children. And I actually showed up today at my kiddo's school and the teacher was like, we have half the class gone because they all have a cough and they're all home. So life happens, sickness happens, we get sick. We as entrepreneurs should be allowed to take a sick day here and there, right? And so things will change. We can't predict when you're going to be sick or when your kids are going to be sick. And so we know that there's going to be times we have to start moving those sticky notes around. Maybe if you do schedule in your personal care day or just your day to have off and you get sick, maybe you're going to decide to take that off of the calendar for that month because now you've had a week that you've been in recovery mode and you don't want to have that on, for example. So the sticky notes are there to not commit you, but to guide you. Okay. We're going to move on as you guys can continue to map these out as you want to, but we're going to start to move on because as we do this, I want to tell you an exercise. You're probably familiar with it, but I'm just going to remind you of this exercise where have you heard, just tell me in the chat if you've heard the stone and the pebble and the sand exercise. What was that, Kat? You're on mute, so I couldn't hear you. Okay, perfect. Yes, and Shelley, you've heard of that. So essentially, if you think about a jar and you fill that jar with stones, those big stones are going to take the bulk of your space and the bulk of your energy, the bulk of your time. So those stones might be, if we think about a professional stone, it might be launching my course or finishing my course or getting it out into the wild. That can be a stone. Another stone could be running my membership. I'm just giving you guys my business model because I know several of us have memberships and we've got courses in here, but it can be whatever is that core part of your business. And then you can also have a personal stone. So if you've always wanted to run a marathon and 2023 is going to be your year to run the marathon, well, then that can be a stone because attached to that stone is a lot of training and a lot of commitment and nutrition and all the things that go into running a marathon. Says a person who's never actually run a marathon, but done a half marathon, that's it. You can just take whatever different stones. So think through what are those big stones in your business. If you are a coach, it can be your one-on-one calls. If you have a product, it can be, for example, the subscription box model. It can be your stone is that box every single month going out, or the digital product every single month going out. So what is it? What is that stone for you? Then you think of the pebbles. And so the pebbles in this instance as a roadpreneur would be your content marketing. It would be your podcasting. It would be your social media marketing. All these things that need to fill up that jar around those big stones to get those stones, growing and get those sticky notes coming off your laptop every single month so you can make sure you're hitting those goals every single month or every single year. So you don't have to write these down right now. I'm just having you think through this as we move into the next part of this. So think through those different pebbles. Affiliate ventures, that's another really good one. I have a list here. Your email every single month, that's another good one. If you are writing a book, it can be your word count every single week. What is it where you have to reach those little baby milestones every single week to keep the ball moving in your business? How many big stones are too many? I would say professionally to have 3, that would be a good number. 1 to 3. I don't want to say you have to have 3. essentially a stone can be like a revenue stream. You don't have to have, if you start to have about 5, then you're going to just lose focus. I would get one really solid and then add another stone, make that one really solid, and then stack them inside the jar. This is a pretend jar, so you can always grow as well. One stone at a time. Very good. Very good. Okay. And then the sand is everything that just kind of comes around it. And that's what surrounds it. So this can be commenting in Facebook groups, like the little things where it's nice to get it done, but you don't have to get it done to really like to expand. Although commenting in Facebook groups, I think is important still. But that's just kind of like the filler work. And this can be the busy work that we tend to fall into that we want to not fall into. So the sand is the lowest of the priorities. We're not even going to put any sand, quote unquote, tasks on the calendar. So thinking through that, we're going to move into a new color. Pick whatever color you want. I'm going to pick, let's see, I'm going to pick yellow for my new color. You pick whatever color you want. And this is where we're going to map those pre-committed dates on the calendar. So pre-committed dates are things where you are committing to seeing clients if you're a coach. You are committing to recording your podcast. If you have a day every single week where every Monday I'm recording my podcast. It can be content creation. This can be a focus day, for example. If you're going to say every Monday, I know that I need to start my week getting into this creative like vibe, or maybe at the end of the week, that's when you feel the most creative. And so you're going to start your or end your week by recording that podcast or writing that email newsletter, whatever it is. So let's map that out with whatever color. Like I said, this is yellow. I don't even know if it looks yellow. It doesn't matter. It is yellow. You pick whatever color you want. And we're just going to start mapping those out on our calendar. This is when I'm committed to showing up. Now, the reason why, especially if you're a one-on-one coach, the reason why this is so important is because you know that on those days, you're not going to schedule a bunch of creative work. You know that on those days, you're going to, you know what is going to happen going into those days. So there's the Roadpreneur Retreat. That's funny. That's a stone that has not been added to my jar yet, Amanda. But I love you for asking. So I'm going to write content creation on one of them. And I personally like to do it on a Thursday. I feel like I've gathered my thoughts throughout the week. I've gathered a bunch of stories. If you saw Darlene Holly's guest expert session last Thursday, she talked about speaking to stories and creating that story bank. That's a great way to gather stories and just sort of feel into where everything is. So for me, I'm going to do the content creation, and that's going to be my focus activity every single week because I don't do one-on-one calls. So I'm going to go put mine up as you guys are doing yours. And let me know in the chat, or feel free to unmute if you have any questions while we're doing that. Who knew that January 23rd was National Handwriting Day? That's on my calendar. Oh, I said Thursdays, didn't I? See, that's why you have to schedule it. Awesome. Okay.
Kimberly, I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
So this new color is the dates, the pre-committed dates where we are showing up in our business. It's focused activity. So is it us saying I'm sitting down at this time to write my weekly email to my list? I'm writing the blog post, I'm making whatever.
Yeah, it can be that. It can also be if you have well, for you, for example, don't you have every Wednesday you go live in your Facebook group? So that would be one of these pre-committed dates. Yeah. So anytime you're committing to your audience in some way, if you're filling up your calendar on that day with podcast interviews or client calls, that would be another pre-committed date. This is just when you know that you're committing to a specific task. So for me, Thursdays is going to be my content creation day. I'm going to be recording podcasts. I'm going to be recording or writing my newsletters that go out on the weekend, because I have a Friday newsletter for Cruising the Campfire, Sunday one for Roadpreneur. So that gets them scheduled, but at least it's closer to the date. This is why I picked that date specifically. But that way I don't overschedule ahead of time, but I can still schedule ahead of time, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna keep, so as you're gonna see, I'm about to overlap 2 Post-it notes, and that's okay. And this is actually a really good thing. So I'm overlapping the pink note, which is going to be on the bottom, because that is the day where I know that I have to find childcare if I have a meeting or something like that. That's also the day when I'm going to be traveling. But because this is a content creation sticky note, it's okay for me to overlap it, because I know that, okay, now I need to get this done for me in the morning, because that's when I wake up and I feel the most creative and clear-headed. If you're a night owl, then you know that that's going to be the evening where you're going to commit to it. It doesn't mean you're not working on those days. It just means you're tempering how much work you're doing on those days. You're mapping out the when, not the specific what exactly. So your content is on Thursday, but we don't have to know what the content is yet. No, exactly. And I'm going to get a little bit into that later about about content specifically, because that's kind of my jam. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. A little bit. So that's coming down the pipeline. But first, we're just going to pre-commit our dates on the calendar for when we're showing up. And again, you see here on spring breaks, I'm overlapping them, but that's okay, because I still know that I can either batch schedule that ahead of time, or I just know that I'm committing to getting some sort of content creation done on that day, since that's my pre-committed date. And you're probably thinking, wait a second, where's all the Roadpreneur live Q&As? Where are co-working sessions up there? That's coming. So don't worry about that yet. Okay, let me know how you guys are feeling about those. The whole goal of doing these, this yellow sticky note or whatever color you chose for the pre-committed dates, is so you don't book over them. So you're not all of a sudden filling that day when you know you're most creative. You have to wrap up your week with a bunch of client calls or a bunch of live calls, and you're like, well, now I have no time to actually get it done, and then it doesn't get done. So that's why we're committing, like you said, Amanda, to the what, not the specific what, but just when you're going to do that action. And this, again, is really important, especially if you have a side hustle. So you commit to, I'm going to get something done on this day, and it's going to fall into this bucket. It'll be specific to that kind of a pebble, for example. Okay. Now, I said I'm going to continue on with the yellow. I said that I was mapping out my content for that. And then I also said that we're going to come back to the Roadpreneur School, like Q&As, and that's specific to me. Kat, you're already mapping out yours for your weekly Wednesday sessions that you do. I'm going to, again, take this, and I'm going to do the same thing for the co-working sessions. Now, I have been, Sarah, I didn't think you looked grouchy at all, but I love that. I've been kind of jumbling them up because I did that survey in the group, and I've been wanting to really make sure that we open it up to as many people as possible. But that's always not going to be possible, because I know we have different work schedules or different travel schedules. So I've been kind of bouncing around with that a little bit. I'm going to hold off on putting this yellow sticky note up for the Roadpreneur School, the Q&A and the co-working right now, as I go and get more data on that from you guys, because I want to make sure I'm scheduling them as often as I can for the maximum people to be there. If nobody can be there on a Wednesday morning, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to put them on Wednesday mornings. So I'm going to do the best that I can, of course, but that's another one of the same color that can go up there on the board or on the calendar. So again, we're scheduling that. That's okay. Let me read this. You may answer this, but before I forget, you're noting when you are working on content, but you will also note on the calendar when the actual, yes, I will also note on the calendar when I actually post the things. The exception to that is social media. I'm not going to schedule any kind of a social media. That's actually coming, not social media, but your question, the different content. When the emails go out, I am going to schedule. When podcasts go out, I am going to schedule blog posts. I'm also going to schedule. We're going to get to that in just a little bit, but yeah, it's a really good question. The reason why I don't do social media specifically is because ideally it's a daily task. Ideally, because I say that because not everyone wants to do it every single day. Not everyone gets to it every single day, and I don't want to beat anybody up for that. I certainly don't, and I'm okay with it. I've been trying to take the weekends off, and I think that that's okay. I think it's a healthy thing to have a little bit of space. I was actually, side note, as you guys continue to work on your yellow sticky notes, but I'm part of a group of content creators, and somebody asked, what is your biggest win after focusing heavier on social media this year? Because a lot of people are like, I'm going to focus so much on social media, 30 days of reels challenges that are so popular, things like that. And somebody who has a very successful membership chimed in, and she said, you know what, I had more success by scaling back because I felt like I was putting my focus on the wrong things. And instead of attracting a bigger audience, what I was doing was I was attracting a lot of negativity, a lot of, responding to comments for people who were not going to ever buy from me, but I was putting all my energy towards that. And I thought, that's so good. It's so true, because there's a lot of people out there that are just negative and nasty. And we just don't need to put our energy towards that. Does not mean not to post. It just means don't get so caught up in this consistency and being prolific and all of that. Consistency is important, but it doesn't mean that we have to drown ourselves in responding to negative comments from people who are never going to buy from us. Okay. Let's move on now. You can always come back to these. Like I said, I'm going to come back and schedule in those dates for our calls later. But now what I want you to do is move back to the green sticky notes that you used on the side of your computer earlier. And for the green sticky notes, what you want to do is at the end of each week, I like to put these on Fridays, you're going to track your progress, your financial progress. So you have them on the side of your computer screen, but now we're also going to put them up on the side of our calendar. And this is where you can track anything that brings in money. So our financial goals on the side of our computer are more for our main course or main program, main membership that we sell. This can be any little thing that you sell. So at the end of every single week, you can write that number on there. Maybe, for example, as you probably saw, I'm doing this Lizzie's Christmas party thing, and I make it a tiny commission. I got $3, enough to buy myself a cup of coffee. I'm not sad about that. It's also definitely not on the side of my computer as like a financial goal. That would be more Roadpreneur school students. And so that's the difference. And so being able to track all that money that you're getting from all those different ventures that you're contributing to or being an affiliate for, whatever it is, you can track that every single week. So I like Fridays because it's the end of the week. It just kind of feels like I can celebrate every single week. Or if it's a down week, I can think, okay, what can I do differently next week to bring in more money, to bring in more sales, to reach more people? It's not all about the money, but just reaching more people, because of course we are here to make money and to sell. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to put just one of these as a reminder. It's blank for now because I can't project. I mean, I could project, but it wouldn't be accurate. So I'm just going to put one of these as a reminder every single Friday to do that financial quick check-in and just say, how much money did I bring in this week? How much money did I invoice for? If I'm working with a client, how much money from different sales, whatever it is, that's what I'm going to put on here. So I'm going to go and put these on my Fridays. Again, you can do whatever works best for you. Some people like to start their week off by looking at it and take into account different weekend sales that might have come in, especially if you have a consumer product that sells more on the weekends. Wherever you want to put it on. I like to put it on Fridays. So that's what I'm doing. And again, this is going to overlap with some of my pink sticky notes. That's okay. If I cannot get to it because we're out of town, off grid, whatever it is, but I can always come back to it. And that's a nice thing to come back to. It's actually kind of one of those nice things to recap as you come home. Did I make money when I was off grid? That's our Roadpreneur goal, right? So just having these here is a nice reminder of what we're doing and what we're bringing in. All right. Look at that. Okay. That's all we're going to do with the greens for right now. We will come back to that. The next thing, oh, I lied. No, I did not lie. Actually, I'm going to leave this up to you. You can do one of two things now. Some people like to continue on with the greens. I don't, because I like to have that visual reminder. So I'm going to continue on with the purple for this next step, but this is up to you. This is going to be this next category of Post-it notes or sticky notes. So don't say brand name. It's going to be anytime you're going to commit to getting those financial wins. So if you are a product creator, track when you're going to launch a product. If you are a subscription box owner, maybe you want to push those new subscription or subscribers at the beginning of the month. If you are a freelancer, track when you're going to promote your services and how you're going to fill up your calendar with different promotions. This is kind of your marketing, your big picture marketing one. This is like when you're going to put the pedal to the metal. This is not your daily marketing. We're going to do that one next. This is going to be your big picture marketing. So launches, promotions, Black Friday would have gone, we would schedule that out with the purple one. If you're a course creator or membership site owner that has closed doors, this is when you're going to put the purple up for when you're going to open up those doors. So that's why I said I was kind of hesitant on this. Some people like the green because this is when you're bringing in the green kind of a mentality. I don't, because I like the two different colors, because I like the purple for it's like kind of an action color. I'm taking action to bring in the money, but it doesn't, I like to have that visual reminder of the green to check in every single week with how much I brought in. So I'm going to put this up for a few different launches. And as I do, I'll kind of walk you through that. So Roadpreneur School is going to have another, even though it's always open, I'm still going to launch it in a sense that I'm going to be pushing the message a little bit harder at the start of the year. And so I'll probably be doing a workshop, maybe a couple workshops. I'm also going to be working with affiliates during this, but this is when I know that my focus needs to be on Roadpreneur School, because for me at the start of the year, Roadpreneur School is a great time to reach anybody who has a New Year's resolution to start a business, to shape their year, design their life for the year to be a little bit more freedom, around the idea of freedom. So for me, I'm going to put a bunch of purple notes up here the first few weeks of January. This is when you will be seeing a little bit more chatter about Roadpreneur School. I'm on my tippy toes, but that won't happen the whole time. And I'm going to put this over my content creation day. That is okay to layer them like that, because when you know that content will still get done on that day. That's why we schedule it first and not second. But that doesn't mean I can't do both on that day. So I just know that it's going to be a full day. So I need to balance my time accordingly, because I still need to get that content done. I still need to email my list. I still need to get the podcast out. That's not going to stop. But at least I have this overlapping, so I know that I'm not going to schedule more on that day, right? And I usually like my launches to go about 2 weeks, because even though I might not be live on Monday, I'm still prepping to go live on Tuesday. Even though I might have already gone live this week, I still need to do my follow-up strategy on this week, which you guys know about, the DM strategy. So I'm going to put those 2 weeks there. Now, I like to launch every single month, but I like to alternate my launches. So it's not going to be Roadpreneur School every single month, because that's kind of just, you eliminate the FOMO mentality with it. It doesn't get as exciting to join when you hear about it all the time. So that's why I still do, even though the doors are always open, I never turn somebody away. I'm still actively inviting people inside during the purple times that are on my calendar. So I'm going to skip over February, but then March, I'm going to go and I'm going to schedule in another launch. Now, as I can see, I'm probably not going to be doing a launch when we're traveling. My kids are on spring break. That would be exhausting and would not be very effective. So I'm going to schedule my launch right here around the spring equinox, which actually I think answers really nicely to my audience. There we go. Okay, and again, 2 weeks, because that's how I like to run my lunches. I like to have them open for a little bit longer to give people a chance to get to know the program and to come inside. So there's that. Now I'm probably going to be doing a limited launch of Roadpreneur Community in February to kind of offset the message. That way they're not smashed together, but I can still educate that I have roadpreneur community and what that is. And then of course I can, differentiate my back funnels, behind the scenes funnels. This is a whole lesson for another day, but that can come behind the scenes of getting people in the door from roadpreneur community into roadpreneur school if it's the right fit for them. So I'm going to just schedule a shorter launch for roadpreneur community because it's a lower price product. And that's going to just be 1 week instead of 2 weeks. So again, my kids are home from school on the 23rd and 24th. I definitely don't want to do it then. But how about right before they go onto rodeo break, have a nice little win that I can put on that green sticky note there. So I know I'm going to do a launch here. And you can write on here if you have different products. You can write on here roadpreneur school, roadpreneur community, whatever your membership is or your course or your product. So just getting that scheduled will know, okay, now I know when to push the gas pedal, when I can let off of it. I know Beth has a lot that goes into, planning with the moon. You can go and look at her course and how she spoke about that, get her calendar, and you can adjust your dates accordingly. These are sticky notes. They are not committing you. It's just kind of helping you see the big picture. Then the final sticky note, let me know if that was too fast. Let me pause for a second. When does the workshop come in? Are you talking about the workshop, like this workshop, Systematize Your Year, or?
Yeah, so if you were spending the first couple of weeks really promoting Roadpreneur School and the 12-month program, you said you were probably going to do a workshop or something, or a Q&A to connect with them and answer questions. So when does that workshop happen? Is that beginning of that 2 weeks or after the 2 weeks?
It's at the beginning of the 2 weeks. That's a really good question. So that would be the way that I like to run it. Is it'll most likely be on the 3rd, January 3rd, because January 2nd, a lot of people are still off or just re-emerging from the new year. So January 3rd, and then I'll do one workshop, and then I might do a 2-day workshop. I'm still planning what that's going to look like, but at least I've set aside that time. And then I'll probably do like a live coaching call on that Thursday, and then I'll go into the DM strategy. So the DM, oh, look at that. I did not know that was true. Fun fact, I like it. So the rest of that 2 weeks, the rest of that purple up there is going to be the DM strategy. And whenever I'm launching, I like to personally reach out. I've had so much success with that for the past few years, being able to just personally connect with people. That's not something that's done a lot. And so I know that on those days, I'm doing more active reach outs. I'm actually taking the time to talk to people, and I'm setting aside that time in my schedule to make sure that my phone is charged. I know that I'm not traveling at that time and trying to message a bunch of people. I just know that that's kind of carved out with a very clear intention. And the other thing is, even if I pre-schedule and pre-write my emails going into a launch, there's always things that need to get added in. The links to the replay, for example, you're not going to have that until you're done, of course. And so being able to have that time set aside to go back, make sure I got the replay uploaded onto a replay page, and I've gotten that replay page into the email, and it can be sent out at a time where the replay is actually there, because sometimes upload times can take longer depending on your internet connection. We always hope it'll be super fast, but we know it's not always super fast. So I want to make sure that I don't send it out until it's ready, that kind of a thing. So I like to give myself a lot of time buffer to make sure that my energy is being put towards the right things, and I'm not jumping off the live workshop, going on a client call, committing to a big client project when I need to be committing to my own business. So this is really important, especially, like I said, if you have a job or if you're working on a side hustle with a goal of leaving your full-time job. This is a really nice way to commit that time, commit that energy, and know you're going to have that mental headspace to lean all the way into launching something or getting something off the ground or having those conversations or leaving time for all the technology mess, because it happens a lot. So good question. Yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm doing a workshop every single day during that time or anything like that either. Okay, any other questions before we move on to the final post-it note? This is going to go a little bit longer than an hour, and I'm sorry about that. But it's all interactive, so that's good. All right, we will go to the final sticky note. actually the final sticky note on the day to day. And then I have a couple other things that I like to do weekly and monthly, and then we'll wrap up. So now we're going to go to the blue sticky notes, or that's my color. Again, choose whatever color you want, but these are your Pebble projects. So the blue sticky notes are just like I was saying to Amanda earlier. This is not your social media. Social media is ideally a daily thing, whatever your cadence is for that. But we don't need to map that out. I'm about to sneeze because, oh, don't sneeze. Okay, you don't need to map that out because it is such an ongoing task. We would just be filling up our calendar with a bunch of blue sticky notes. Instead, what I'm going to use the blue sticky notes for is really blue. There you go. Now you can see. I'm going to use this for every day that my newsletter comes out and every day that my podcast comes out. And now that I'm the RV Entrepreneur, one of the RV Entrepreneur podcast hosts, I've got one of those every single month. So I'm going to map that out on the calendar of when my episode of the RV Entrepreneur podcast episode is coming out. The reason why we're going to be putting this on the day that it comes out and not the day that we want to finish it is so that we can see for far enough ahead that when we're batching that content, we know how far ahead we need to be. And we can see ahead and kind of have this plan in place. So first, I'm just going to put the blank sticky notes on, and I'm going to talk through how we can really solidify this to make it easier to plan that content and really get things moving. So like I said, I have a newsletter that goes out every single Sunday. I will send it out on New Year's Day. Chances of me actually writing it on New Year's Day is very slim. That will be pre-scheduled, which is not shocking to anybody. And here we go. So it's every single Sunday. Maybe I'll only go through February on this and come back because you guys aren't watching me just put up post-it notes all day. Then every single Tuesday is my own podcast that comes out. Again, I'm stacking these, but it's okay because I know that it's being released. Even though I'm in launch mode, I know now that I'm probably going to want to get out ahead of that content and have that done so I can really focus on the big Pebble tasks. So that's every single Tuesday. Again, I'm only going to go through February. And then for my RV Entrepreneur podcast episode, I am the third Thursday of every single month. So now I know that I can say 1, 2, 3, there we go. And look how many are stacked on top of each other, but that's okay because they're all relating to different tasks. So now I can see I need to make sure that I'm emailing out and having that scheduled at the right time. I can see, Shelly says, just a thought, not sure if you said this already, but I think I'm going to label one. Yes, you can absolutely make like your own legend for this on the side. I think that's a really good idea. Absolutely a really good idea. Okay, so now you know when you need to be sending this out. But I think it was Amanda who asked this earlier, to your question about what to write. I have my dog trying to get my attention right now. I have in the Roadpreneur School, I think it's module 4, your content marketing module. The way that we structure our content is we do the problem and the solution framework. So what I like to do is for every single month, come up with a problem, a challenge, something that you know that your audience is looking for and wanting an answer to, and then come up with your 4 to 5, depending on, like, for example, in January, I've got 5 different podcasts. So I have 5 different solution type pieces of content coming out for that. So you can write up there your theme for the month. That can go anywhere that says notes. And you can write your theme for the month. So for example, if I were to do SEO January, it does not have a good ring to it, but it works. I could write that in the notes section that's on the side here. And then I could write out my 5 topics. I have an Airtable to schedule that, so I don't actually always write it down there, but it's nice to have that spot where you can write it, or you can write the topic on each of the different sticky notes and say, okay, now I know what I'm speaking about. So when I get to that content creation day and I'm in there creating those, I going in and recording the podcast or writing a blog post, whatever it is, then I know the theme of the day and I don't have to go hunting for it and spend way too much energy and time trying to figure out what on earth I'm going to talk about, because that's a drain. So you can absolutely go and plan that out that way. Okay, we're going to move to our weekly progress checklist. And this one's really fun because, like I said, you can have a lot of different ways that you can use this. So I have two, I didn't tell you guys to get this because you don't need it, but you can absolutely put two different sticky notes on either side of your weeks. And these ones are of course bigger. This is my little note compared to my big sticky note. And you can put them on the sides of each week. One is going to be your regular check-ins. Every single week, your check-ins. So on here, what I like to write, and again, you can just have this in your journal, or you can have it as just a different color sticky note or something to remember. But what I like to write on here are three things that I want to accomplish at the end of the week. So if I get to the end of the week and I'm like, wow, that was a whirlwind, what just happened? I at least know, but at least I got XYZ done. And so being able every single week before you go into the week to plan out, I want to get these three things done. That will make sure that you know you are going in with a clear mind about what you want to get done. Anything above and beyond that is great, but if you can accomplish those three things, that's excellent. So the other thing that I like to write on here are my daily habits. The 12 days of Christmas inside the Roadpreneur community on day 4 is daily habits. This can be anything that you want to have. So if you want to commit to, I'm working out every single day. I'm going to get a workout on and every single day. I'm going to walk a mile every single day. I'm going to, drink a gallon of water every single day. Whatever it is that you want to commit to every single day, personally or professionally, you can write that down here just to remember and keep it top of mind. You can even turn it into like a little tally mark, check mark, or whatever you want to do, but that's up to you. But having it written down the reason I don't pre-fill it in for the whole year, that's 52 post-it notes that you're writing anyways, that would be a lot, but this will always change, or maybe it won't. Maybe you love the feeling of having your morning walk every single day. Maybe you love the feeling of I'm posting on social media every single day and I'm in that habit, I'm going to write that down. Maybe you want to commit to sleeping 8 hours a day and trying to get that 8 hours of sleep every single night, not a day. Maybe a day if you're a night owl, but you can have that written down on here. So that's what I like to write on these. And then, so you can write your 3 things at the top and then fill it in 1, 2, 3, and then your daily habits. And then you can come back. So this is how I wrote that. I don't know if you guys can see it. So just 1, 2, 3, and then you can come back and then fill that in. But hanging it on the side reminds you to do that every single week. And then for the green one, the big green, not the little greens, at the end of each week, yes, I'm marking off the financial wins for the week or how much I made. Hopefully they're wins. But I also like to just do a checkout. What went well this week? What do I need to get done next week? The little things that I want to remember going into the next week, because if you're taking a weekend off or if you're traveling, your mental headspace is now being filled up with something very different than your business. And instead of just trying to remember that and expecting, well, when I sit down on Monday morning, I know what I'm going to do. We don't always do that. And so being able to write down what went well, your notes for the next week, you can write gratitude. You can write things you're grateful for, especially if you've had a hard week. That's a really good one to write down. The other thing you can put on these, or even next to on your little green sticky notes, in addition to it, is those little things that you're trying to track. So if you're writing a book, you can write down your word count. Every single week, I wrote 10,000 words this week. Maybe that's your goal. I want to write 10,000 words in my book this week. And you can write down how many words you wrote that week for your book specifically. If you are training for a race, how many miles did I do this week? If you are, if you're tracking your calories, I don't know if you want to write weekly caloric intake, that's kind of weird. That doesn't quite make sense. But you get the idea of you're looking for a very, very specific metric that you can track every single week. That's optional, but it's also a fun thing that you can write down. So that's your checkout post-it note. So we're going to hang these on here. Like I'm only going to do January, and they're kind of big, and so it's a little bit tricky, but I can just hang that right there, and then I can just toss it once it's done, and I don't have to come back to it again. I can just leave that, and then I can write again my weekly checkout. So just remember to do it. This is more of a mental reminder. Now it's kind of scheduled onto the calendar there for me. Then the final thing, and then we're going to wrap this up because I know it went a little bit over. The final thing that I like to recap at the end of every single month, and I can send this all out and, I have it written out for you because I know this is a lot coming at you guys right now. The final thing is our monthly notes. So on the monthly notes, I don't have a different color one of these. I could also just take the blue one or the green one. It doesn't matter the color necessarily, but I'm going to put it at the bottom of the note of the month or the last day of the month, because this is when I like to do a few different things. I like to write the monthly content theme. So monthly theme. I like to look at my total revenue made for the month, add up those weeks of the little greens. I like to also look at my total audience number. So total audience number is your email subscribers, social media, and if you have a podcast, it'd be your podcast listeners. If you have a blog, it can be number of hits on your blog post specifically, or it can be your YouTube subscribers. So I would say subscribers. So, because for me, I have the podcast. And you can break that out however you want. For social media, you might want to have Instagram grew this much, or my Facebook group grew this much, my Facebook page grew this much, whatever you want to track. But being able to see those numbers will let you see that growth month after month after month, because audience growth is so important, and this helps to keep it top of mind. And then the final thing that I write down every single month is, what do I want to do? And this is where we go back to the beginning of our call, where we did those rapid journaling exercises. What do I want to do helps remind us about what we're trying to tackle throughout the year, what we want to accomplish throughout the year, personally and professionally. And writing it down every single month, it will be the same thing, unless it changes dramatically, but it should probably be the same thing. And this is going to help remind us, is everything that I'm doing moving towards that end goal? It helps to calibrate us as we're moving towards that end goal. So there you go. This is our system for the year. What's on the weekly big note? Goals, daily habits, and I just had goals and daily habits. That's it. I only have my big three and then the daily habits that I want. Because this can be, I don't want it to become too much. The monthly check-in is really nice to have. You can also create a spreadsheet for this, an Airtable for this. I'm actually thinking of making this an automatic form for us, where every single month I ask you to fill out those numbers so you have them in one place. But being able to put pen to paper, there's just something about it. So I like to have this here. Okay, quick questions. I did say Airtable. Yeah, the legend is excellent. I did say Airtable. So Airtable is a piece of software that essentially you can do so much with it. That's why I'm struggling to describe it. It's a lot like Trello. I know some people don't love Trello, but it doesn't have to be. So you can have the Kanban boards. That's what Trello is, where you drag and drop them over. That's how you do my to-do list every day or every week, every month, an ongoing to-do list. You also can have rows and columns of different text. So it's kind of like a spreadsheet, but a Kanban board, which is like the drag and drop cards. And I have a bunch of different templates that are going to be coming out in January for you. You can take, I use it all the time. I actually use it for meal planning a little bit too. So Shelly, this could be something you could offer, a little Airtable meal plan. I actually just created that today, but I use it all the time for my to-do list every day. I have one called links and processes, and that's where I'm going off on a tangent, sorry, really fast. The links and processes ones where I like store my bio, I store any affiliate links for programs that I'm a part of. I store testimonial quotes there. So I always have just this easy place to go and grab those little things, those like snippets that you sometimes will need. And I can share that. I will share that plan with you. That one's coming in January. So you'll get access to those, but you can also turn them into a Google spreadsheet or a Trello board, whatever you want. How about analytics tracking? So yeah, that's the monthly one where I track the email, social media subscribers. You could do website hits. It's another good one you could do on that's the monthly one though. Amanda, so you won't plan April, May, June till March, or will you plan April after January's over? So you're viewing 3 months at a time. I actually am going to go and try and plan my entire year, and I'm not going to try. I'm going to plan the entire year. I said try because they're sticky notes and I can move them around. But I want to get at least like a big picture of what I want this year to look like. So after this call, I'll happily take a picture of this all colored out. But that's what I'm going to do for the sake of this call. You didn't need to see me putting 52 little post-it notes all over the board. For the sake of the call, I just wanted to do 3 months at a time. Yeah, I think you're going to love Airtable or anything. Do you take the pages with you when you travel? I do not. You can take a picture with you, and then you can make things, adjust things as you get back, because it's not a commitment necessarily. And especially when I'm traveling, I'm trying to decompress a little bit. And so I know when I'm going to lean in, and I plan that ahead of time. For example, last Christmas, we went camping and I woke up before anybody else every morning, and I had pen to paper journal time because we had no technology, but I knew I wanted to kind of start to plan my year and think about my year. So I went into that trip with a pen and a paper, a journal, and I woke up every single morning, went and I sat by the window and I looked outside and I put the pen to paper, but I knew that's what I was going to do. So I have that plan in place going into it. Yeah, good questions, you guys. Okay. Well, you are welcome to continue to ask questions in the Facebook group, but that's going to wrap up our time. This is really fun. Thank you very much for doing this with me. And like I said, I want to see your guys' filled out calendars if you want to share them. But if you don't, that's okay too. Look at that. Oh, I love seeing how colorful that is. How pretty, how fun. I'm going to also take this. Oh, the Christmas program was so cute. A bunch of little kids singing on stage. It's adorable. I love it. Thank you for asking. He did excellent, which was good because last year he had a show where he did not do so excellent. So I was really glad he did. All right, you guys, we'll be talking again tomorrow. So tomorrow our live Q&A is 8:30 Pacific. I have to think about it because now we're in Mountain Time. 8:30 Pacific. Yes. And that'll be an hour and a half. We'll have 90 minutes together. I do have a hard stop at the end. So if there's any questions I don't get to at the end, I'll do a Loom to answer them. So we'll get through all the questions this week. And yeah, we'll continue to talk in the Facebook group, soon to be a Slack group. More on that tomorrow, though. All right. Bye, you guys. Have a good one.